So the real trick, I think, for democracies, for free societies, is to try to keep a lid on the craziness, right? Try to keep a lid on the craziness while trying to nurture democratic institutions. Things like, I don't know, crazy things like maybe the post office here, which somehow has become a political football, education systems, healthcare. You know, when you have a less crappy society, you will have a less religious society and a society that will be less Trumpish, let's say. That's what I'll say. And Chris, I'm going to say something controversial and say that if you're not voting, with some qualifications, if you're not voting for Biden, then you are a bad atheist.
Atheist.
You are a bad atheist. You're voting against your own interests because
true enough.
And once again, it goes back to that point that safe, secure societies are good for atheists and atheism. However, if you're voting for Republicans here in the United States of America, then you are creating a crappy society, which is just creating a failed state. And we know what happens with failed states. You have religious fanatics and atheists basically get hung from the highest trees. And so if you're not voting for Biden, you are a bad atheist. I'm going to use this term. You're not atheisting right.
You're not atheist. You failed.
You have failed.
I get that. But that is one of the things he does. They do tend to take the religious right. That's a whole part of their thing. The more power the conservative party gets, the more religious the policies and stuff they begin to push through. We've seen it. That was part of the premise of the first few months of my show, was getting some of those American atheist people on the show and talking about some of the policies that the conservative Christian people are running through. Just imagine how bad it's going to be whenever the fascists are using the clarion calls. You know, the statues will be going back up down in the South, you know, for example. I mean, I see things getting... And then, of course, the religious oppression. One nation under God is going to be mandatory. They're going to have Bible mandatory in our schools. They're going to have prayer mandatory. Watch it. You watch. I say these things. But you watch.
I don't quite understand about your politics, because you've got separation from church and state. But you seem to get a lot of religious people trying to push things through your books, and they seem to be successful. Yes. Whereas we don't have separation from church and state. Well,
yeah, exactly. And
if we've got a particular religious person, somebody who's really religious in a political party in this country, they don't last very long. We had one, or what was it? He might have been the Democratic Party. Anyway, basically, it was questioned on a news interview, and it was on about his religion, because I think he was a really big in the Catholic Church. So they questioned him about gay marriage, whether he agreed with gay marriage. And he basically said, well, my religious views has got nothing to do with my political views, so I'd like to keep them separate. But anyway, basically, they found out that due to his political views, he didn't agree with gay marriage, and he literally had to resign.
Yeah, yeah.
Whereas in your country, it would seem absolutely the opposite. If they speak out more on the religious side of things, that they seem to go further. Whereas if you've got somebody who was an atheist who come in and they asked them what their religious views was, and they said, I've got no religious views whatsoever, I don't believe in it, and that was just it, the chances are he would be finished.
Sure. You know, what's interesting is that what you just said proves my point. Officially, America has a separation of church and state. We have the Establishment Clause. And when things do get into the courts, yes, they can be contested. However, it's a fertile ground for religious extremism when people don't feel secure about their jobs. The number one cause for bankruptcy in America is medical bills, right? And that's a horror to people in many not civilized, but developed countries. That's unheard of. And so that's the main difference, I think, between our two countries, is the fact that people in general feel safer in Britain. And so this kind of religious extremist rubbish does not hold any water whatsoever.